How's it going, guys? Vaibhav here from GN Tech, and welcome to a camera comparison between the Huawei P30 Lite and the Nokia 8.1. I'm recording this from the front-facing cameras on both of these smartphones at 1080p resolution. Now, I'm quickly going to get up and give you guys an overall idea of how both of these smartphones film as well as capture audio using the microphones on the phones. But with that being said, I'm now going to move into the primary camera specifications, followed by some photos and video samples from the primary cameras. So here we've got Huawei's entry-level P30 Lite, which comes with an AI-powered triple camera setup as well as a 32-megapixel selfie camera, and up against it is Nokia's 8.1, priced a bit more but with a dual camera and a 20-megapixel selfie snapper. Like always, we'll begin with a flower sample. In this case, the clear difference comes with color. The Nokia 8.1's red flower color is more accurate compared to the P30 Lite. It also has a bit more detail compared to the P30 Lite. Now, with AI on the Huawei and scene detection mode on the Nokia, a change of color is definitely visible. I think the Nokia overly saturates the flower a bit too much, whereas the P30 Lite keeps the photo a bit more neutral, but color accuracy wise it is still with the Nokia. Here's a more general photo where the big difference is the blue tinge over the Nokia 8.1's photo. This cooler tone definitely makes the photo look better, but in terms of color accuracy, the P30 Lite has it in this case. You can see that the scene detection feature on the Nokia takes the blue a bit too far compared to the P30 Lite's AI, which does a much less aggressive job and a better job. Now here's a photo of a London telephone booth near Dubai City Walk. Visually, the bright color of the Nokia 8.1 is more pleasing to the eye. As well as that, the Nokia 8.1's photo is a bit sharper and more detailed over the P30 Lite's. The advantage the P30 Lite has is its wide-angle lens to capture a wider field of view. You can't do that with the Nokia 8.1, so the P30 Lite has a bit more versatility. As for zoom capabilities, this is a photo at 1x zoom, where I think the Nokia 8.1 looks better. With each phone's respective AI and scene detection mode turned on, there's a change, but there's still more detail to the Nokia 8.1's photo. Here's a photo taken at 2x zoom on the P30 Lite and approximately 2x zoom on the Nokia 8.1, because the phone doesn't display a zoom level in the camera application. Here too, the Nokia 8.1 has the advantage without and with scene detection turned on, although I feel like the Nokia 8.1 has a fair bit of sharpening going on. And here are samples from each phone's maximum zoom distance, where definitely the P30 Lite has less noise, but it looks like the Nokia 8.1 has zoomed in more. In either case, at this zoom level, photo samples are not quite usable from each phone. Both these phones have a background blur mode, and starting with objects, I think both of these have a good edge detection, although I feel like the 8.1 is a hint better towards the edges of the object. There's a bit more sharpening on the P30 Lite's image, and it feels like the overall image is a bit artificial because of the background blur. The blur on the Nokia 8.1 is more realistic and impressive in my opinion. For portraits of people, again, the blur processing is superior on the 8.1. I like the colors from the P30 Lite image, but I just feel there's a better sharpness to the photo from the Nokia 8.1 if you look at my hair. But I think the differences are very minute and it's quite difficult to choose one sample over the other definitively. Front selfie wise, both phones are pretty close if you ask me. Dynamic range is a bit better on the Nokia 8.1 and color profiles are different, but aside that there's not much to choose. With portrait mode enabled, the P30 Lite's blur is worse off if you look at my right ear and the left part of my head, whereas the Nokia 8.1 manages to do a better job with blur, but also maintains the sharpness in the photo, especially from the collar of my shirt. I think here it's also worth noting that the Nokia 8.1 has a Bokeh feature, which lets you use both the front and the back camera together, which is unique. With the front samples done, let's move on to some night samples, starting with this one. I think here both phones are very close, but for me the control of lights is better on the P30 Lite if you look at the background. While the P30 Lite has a night mode dedicated for these scenarios, I used the scene detection on the 8.1, which added a pop of color to the image because it recognized this scene as flowers. This does make the image look better than the P30 Lite's night mode image because of its sharpness, but the P30 Lite has the better light exposure if you look at the background. In this sample, the Nokia 8.1 has the warmer image. It also captures more detail in the photo, especially on the bench and background. The P30 Lite's night mode sharpens up the image a fair bit compared to the Nokia 8.1, but there's a bit of grain introduced into the sample that is less visible on the Nokia 8.1's image. This is a more challenging night scenario, and the Nokia 8.1 definitely has the edge with detail. With night mode and scene detection mode turned on, again the Nokia 8.1 is still better, delivering the more natural photo. While the Nokia 8.1 is superior in this case too, the P30 Lite does have the versatility of its wide-angle lens, something that the 8.1 doesn't have. With night mode and scene detection mode turned on, still it is the Nokia 8.1 that comes out on top. Just for completion, here's a sample testing the zoom on both of these phones without and with the night and scene detection mode turned on, and you can see the differences for yourself. While using the flash, you can see the P30 Lite does a better job with colors on the subject and control of noise, although you don't see much detail in the background compared to the Nokia 8.1's photo that does give you that extra detail. And rounding up on the nighttime shots for selfies, I think the choice comes down to color preference. I do like the 8.1 here, and with portrait mode enabled, both phones have a fair bit of grain. But I would choose the 8.1 just because of the more natural color compared to the P30 Lite's pinkish tones. Moving to videos, at 1080p, the Nokia 8.1 takes the more stable footage, which is more detailed, but the warmer tones from the P30 Lite are more color accurate. The P30 Lite does give you the option of filming with a wider angle, which in fairness does let you capture more of the scene, but at the same time degrades quality. When running too, it is the Nokia 8.1 that has the more stable looking footage, but arguably when using the wide-angle lens on the P30 Lite, stabilization is about on par. Nokia does give you the option to record in 4K resolution, which is much sharper than the P30 Lite's 1080p footage, but stabilization when walking isn't great, whereas when running, stabilization from both phones is about the same. A lot of people have also asked for low-light video samples following the previous video, and again, the Nokia 8.1's footage is a lot sharper at 1080p and more stable. Using the wide-angle lens of the P30 Lite at night, the result is less than ideal in terms of quality, but you do get the wider view. 4K video is a little shaky from the Nokia, but has much more sharpness compared to the P30 Lite, which lacks sharpness in both its normal angle and wide angle camera, especially at night. So that's about it for this camera comparison between these two phones. I think this will help you get a better idea of the phone's camera performance and help you make a judgment. Let us know what other videos you'd like to see next, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, this was Vaibhav, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.